Um,
Ah, busy week.
Busy week. What's to
Busy
talk
week and I
about?
hurt my back.
What's to talk about and what's going on? Lots to look forward to.
That's right.
Yeah.
What to look forward to.
Yeah. So lots to talk about. So missed it last week, but we've had an ACL Open. We've had a first ever European Championships as well. Weekend just gone. So get cracking with the Open then.
All right, man.
Yeah. So Open
Mark
3.
Richards.
Yeah.
Mark Richards, man. Smashing it.
Yeah. He's back.
He might be. He might be. So it puts him back in tied for second for most wins overall, Open wins, and at 20. He's still just behind. But I mean, he's been stuck on 19 for almost a whole year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The big first year, didn't he? And then but last year was slow by your standards.
Yeah, for sure. But he looked good this weekend. Although I will say, Devin Harbaugh, though, I honestly, I didn't think he was going to lose.
No.
And then Mark beat him, and I thought, wow.
Well, when I watched the game before, when Devin played Trey Birchfield, the shot to win.
Oh, yeah.
Early contender for shot of the season already.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Just phenomenal shot.
Yeah, that push was badass. For sure.
I really did that. I was like, yeah, this dude's taking it down. And then Mark Richards showed up. Showed why he's a former world champ.
He did.
I mean, he went
really well.
Yeah.
I did watch the Around the ACL podcast with Trey and them guys. And the big reason most people were surprised was because Devin, for like the tournament, had like not given up more than 13 points.
No.
In a match.
He'd been on it.
And it took, I can't remember who they said it was, but it's escaping me. Literally threw like a 10-4-7 over 30 rounds and only scored 13 points against him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. But then Mark came in in the final match and just smashed him.
I mean, despite the loss to Mark in the final, there's still a strong argument, like number one player in the world right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, because we talk about.
I mean, there's a few names there.
Won doubles.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, won junior doubles, and I think it was a second in bracket as well. So
yeah,
he's up there again.
Well, but then obviously Ryan Trader winning doubles. The funny part about that is they had literally almost trailed in every match and came back to win, except for the finals against Ryan Smith and Ryan Wiedenfeld, and they just smoked them.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't even close. But yeah, you want to talk about Ryan Trader a little bit. I mean, he won junior singles. He finished second in his bracket in the Open. He was second in junior doubles with Sammy Soto. I mean, that kid he's so, I don't even know the words to describe it. Like, he's literally on fire right now.
Yeah. He's the other name in there, in that conversation, best player in the world right now.
Possibly, man.
Yeah.
And then I'd be remiss not to mention the women's singles champion with Caitlin Alshouse.
Yeah, we remember her from a few weeks back with that long ass game with them.
She looked so good again this weekend.
Yeah.
Or this past weekend. In the Open number 3, man. She looked so good again.
Yeah.
And for someone, because she's just elite. She lost out on her pro qualifier last year. She lost in the finals.
Yeah.
So she's still being an elite player, but for a non-pro, man, she's definitely giving people all they want.
Yeah. And we got to give the oldies some love too. Donald Cup doing the double, senior singles, senior doubles.
Yeah. Actually, I think I might have picked him in to win this weekend.
Yeah.
In the Open number 4.
Yeah. See, some big names are back. We've got Frank Modlin back, Damon Dennis back. So,
yeah. Well, I picked Damon and Frank to win the doubles.
Yeah.
For seniors, so. But we'll see, man. It'll be a good match. Be some good matches for sure. Yeah. Obviously, we won't get to watch as much as we wanted to because we'll be playing this weekend as well.
Yeah. I'm sure in between games we can find somebody with a tablet to get some streaming going on if we're not watching our own stuff.
Yeah, Saturday night especially, man. Try to see if we can get someone to put it up on let's Chromecast it out on a TV or something while we're playing the blind. Have a watch on doubles for sure.
Yeah.
Or singles.
Yeah, definitely a big weekend of cornhole coming up for us. Plenty to watch, plenty to take part in.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about on our own continent. This past weekend was the WCO European Championships.
The inaugural one, the first ever.
Yeah, and so for anybody out there listening that didn't know about this event was purely for only European citizens. So no Americans could play in it at all. Now, unfortunately, GB did not send a team. I think it was kind of one of those too late in the game when we found out about it and kind of knew what it was about. Although I think it would have been nice to send someone, and I think we could have competed. But let's give a little shout out to, in the team's event, I personally would have picked Germany to win it all, just based on who they sent for their 6-person team.
Yeah.
But Slovenia beat them in the finals.
Yeah.
So it ended up being Slovenia, Germany, and then Croatia.
Yeah.
Then they had their first Crew Cup. And the Crew Cup champions is Christoph Thaler, Rico Krul, Arno Simmons, and Milos Sapak. And all 4 of those guys I've played against or played with, and they're all solid players.
Yeah.
And they're all good people. They're solid guys. And then in doubles, Hendrik Kranz and Rico Krul took down doubles against Sina Max and Max Krutzer, which Max wasn't on Team Germany, but he was kind of my standout player of the tournament, I think.
Yeah.
Because he got second in doubles and then also won the blind draw with his partner in that.
Yeah. Had a good weekend then.
Yeah, Max had a real good weekend. He's a good guy too. He's that guy that he's always in a good mood, always got a smile, always got a laugh. So I was happy to see him have some success this weekend because I know he's been since Croatia in July, or sorry, was that in June? No, it was in August, I think. Either way, he I don't think he was playing at the level he wanted to play at. So it was good to see him come back and have some success this weekend. Yeah.
And then even more close to home this weekend, Qualifier 2.
Qualifier 2.
Yeah.
Qualifier 2 is what to say about Qualifier 2?
Well, we'll get someone on in a minute.
Yeah.
So what to say about Qualifier 2?
So my thing with Qualifier 2
Here he is now.
Hey!
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah,
not
good.
too bad.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah. So, just saying, this weekend, qualified 2 to look forward to.
Yes, we got a social first on Saturday to try and nobble as many players as we can with too much booze, and hopefully there'll be some sore heads on Sunday. So I might get past the first knockout stage for once.
Well, our boy Josh is already injured, so the booze might help him forget the pain.
It's actually my birthday on Saturday as well, so I'm not even going to apologise for having a hangover.
Yeah.
Myself and Flo, we're going to come down on Saturday. I think we're the only two from our club that are coming down, but we'll definitely be there, and we're looking forward to it. We'll have a birthday drink for you, man.
At least one.
I'm 50-50 at the minute, but I'm there Sunday regardless.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it should be a good one. I think there's about 35 registered, and I know there's a few yet to register. We're just starting to promote it more on the socials this week, so just reminding everyone to get signed up, really, for those coming in. So it should be a good one.
Yeah, I had a look earlier at the names on the list. There's still a few regulars missing, so I'd imagine we'll be over that 40 mark, no problem.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
So, shall we get into it with yourself then, Ben?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Seems that you're first guest. You could be the first one to do the deck around.
Right, okay.
So got 10 questions for you here. So, a little bit quick fire-ish, but you can go into as much detail as you want. So, question 1, how do you get into cornhole?
How do you get into cornhole? Well, Alistair, our good friend, a mutual owner at the UKCL, was obviously been spending quite a lot of time over America in other roles, and he just one day decided to make a board. He showed that to my brother-in-law Dale, who again everyone knows, and they had a go at building some boards, and they're really bad. But we had our first go at cornhole on the Bath grounds in Ashby, and we decided it was an excellent drinking game, something you didn't need to be in any great shape to play, and thought, this is a game for me.
Great, yeah.
That's my favorite part about
it.
Yeah. Number 2 is, so how long you been playing?
So just probably 18 months tops, from first picking up a bag to now. So similar with many guys. We've got, guys been in the club months, they're already as good as me. So it's one of those great games that anybody can pick up a bag and anyone can play. It's great.
Yeah. 3, she cornhole goal.
My cornhole goal. I mean, I'd like to say I'm going to win a tournament, but it's never going to happen. I'm just not that committed to the practice. I think my main goal is probably to get the tournament. So they're so big we have a problem with venues. So getting 2-day events with 64 plus people starts giving you headaches with sort of how you structure them. So to me, it's about the growth of the sport more than anything else.
Yeah, I like that goal. Definitely a nice goal, that.
Yeah.
So next, your cornhole highlight so far.
Cornhole highlight so far. I mean, I've just met a whole new bunch of people. It's like I've suddenly found all these people I didn't know before. We had a great night out in Bury St Edmunds after one of the qualifiers last year. And I think my most special memory is I went to one of the American events in Manchester, met a load of the Americans, and I'd said to them, like, you sound like you've done all the stereotypical British stuff. Come spend a day with me in little old Ashby. And we took them to a garden centre, to a Wetherspoons, to some ruins for some fish and chips, to a pub to play darts, and just did a load of really random sort of middling. Then I took them to a stately home where they got a tour and some port in the dining room at the end. So I did a load of weird stuff, but just, friends from across the pond now. 2 of those help on the advisory board for UKCL, and we're hoping to see them later in the year for some more cornhole. So just the new friendships it's opened up has been really special.
Yeah, cool. A few easy ones. Your favourite shot? What's
it called when you throw it on the floor? It seems to be the most common one. I I do love a push bag. I'm sometimes too aggressive with them though, but I think that's the shot I'd rather play than an airmail when I'm playing games. But yeah.
No, so next, what's your preferred bag?
Preferred bag. I've got Visions at the moment, which are okay. They're really probably need a wash. I did have some Rocket Dogs, but they've developed a slight hole, so I've not really. I went. Sorry, Stuffage. Yeah. So when I've played, whenever I play doubles, I just take my opponent's bags because I figure it probably makes you better being able to play with any bags than being really precious and just being able to play with one. And how many people actually need more practice than new bags? So I think a good player will be a good player with whatever bags you hand them. So I'm not really overly precious. Despite having a stock of them in my garage, I've just stuck with the same ones.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I have about 8 sets of bags, and every time I will rock up to y'all's place this weekend thinking, all right, man, I'm bringing 4 sets. I'll practice with all 4. Let me see which ones I'm going to need to throw. And then when push comes to shove, I will only pull out 1 set, and no matter what happens, I will just throw that set.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I always turn up with a full zucker, and then it's always the same set of bags to pull out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
For you, it doesn't matter because if you're not getting into the board, all the bags play the same.
All right, moving on. Favorite player?
What do you want, a famous player or just somebody?
Just any.
Your favorite.
It's your favorite. It can be a pro. It can be a UKCL player. It's your favorite
player. Oh man, that's fun. Who's my favorite player? I mean, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to go for some of my club players here. Charlie Lomax is generally just a machine. He does not miss much. And also, when you try and take the mick out of him, I don't know, he just doesn't listen. He just focus. But a player that's pretty much the same standard in our club, Mr. Wookie Ben Shaw. He's got a magnificent beard, an excellent collection of shirts, and he's a good on the night out as well as on the board. So I think the Wookie's going to go my number 1 player. I think he's big things to come from him as well after his last performance.
Yeah, him and Josh battling out for the top beard in the game.
Now, he's got, hands down, he's got.
I'm not even top 3.
Hands down, he's got me.
Yeah. So next, who would be your dream doubles partner? It doesn't necessarily have to be a pro. Anyone.
Dream doubles partner. I'm going to take one of the Irvins. I'll take Ashley, I think, because she's been really supportive behind the scenes. Ashley Irvin, ACO player, really, really lovely couple of people. Great fun. She's supported me at the backgrounds of the tournaments, and when we all came and played Drunken Ashby the one time, she was actually very helpful at coaching as well. So yeah, she'd see me through. Try and get some more bags on the board.
Yep. 2 more. So your favourite thing about cornhole?
For probably repeating myself, I just think it's the group of people that we've got at Ashby are just, I don't know, people that sort of needed a group of pals to come and do something with. And it's just such a good bunch of people. We sort of, these people from all different careers and walks of life and even geographies all coming together for something they love to do. And it's just been brilliant having, a place to go. And my dad plays and I see him every Tuesday and we quite often go for a beer afterwards. And it's just a really nice time to catch up with my dad as well every week. So yeah.
He got the better of me last time, so I'm out for revenge at qualifier too.
I had to play him right off the bat last qualifier, man. And he's I felt bad beating him because he's just such a nice guy.
Yeah.
I can play against your dad all day long, man.
He's older than you probably think as well. He's old. He just wears really bright clothes, so everyone assumes he's not. But he was a really, really good badminton player in his youth and a squash player. And now his knees do not allow him to play anything more than golf or cornhole. But he's still competitive. He'll still he's still competitive, which is great.
Yeah. All right, and then to complete your deck round, hobbies and interests outside of cornhole.
Obviously, I'm a big rugby fan. A lot better at rugby than I'll ever be at cornhole. So that was I support Leicester Tigers. I like to go to Twickenham to support England, and I've been heavily involved in our rugby club for years and years, and sort of stepped back a little bit in the last couple of years to focus on cornhole. So rugby is probably my other great passion in life.
Great. No, thanks, Ben. You're the first to complete the deck around then.
Amazing. Did a pass?
Yeah. Like
Not pro status though, just low down amateur status.
Just for being the first, you're gonna get one of these nifty little just board it decals. I'll bring it to you this weekend.
Amazing, thank you.
You've got to show up to the camera then.
You get to be the first.
Beautiful.
All right, so UKCL then we'll move on to then. So, as some people who would have caught episode 2, we had a little bit of a discussion on the points system.
Sure,
was one of them. So, what's your
just to recap it?
Yeah.
Understand, this is no slight on you guys taking over or any of that, or what Dan started and all that. We all understand how the point model was chosen, and it was chosen based on other point models from other organizations, and we get that. The argument comes in that works when you're playing 20, 30, 40 events a season.
Yeah.
When you only play 4 events, the disparity between points, sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's not that much. To then, if you miss a tournament, you may be completely out and have to really kind of just, not scrap your season, but scrap your season.
Yeah, sure. Or two of them win.
Doesn't think he'll make it this weekend, and now that's gonna be 2 events he's out. And we all know that he's probably still one of the best 16 in the nation.
Yeah.
But he's probably not going to have enough points outside of winning one of the qualifiers or the Open to then make it to the national championships.
I take the point. We obviously inherited a scoring system. For our first season, we're learning. We're going to take feedback. We made a decision to do something. And part of what we want is to encourage people to turn up, because we need them to turn up to get the numbers, to get the revenue in, to make it a sustainable sport. And for that, we need people to turn up. So we don't want people qualifying in the first event not coming back. If there was a load of points for finishing in the top, 4 or 8 or whatever, we need those people to come back and bring up the standard of the rest of the field. And I think if you look at the guys who actually make it, like you obviously had to come from the depths of the lower bracket. There's people who won a few games in the first bracket. Most of that first page on the league is kind of players you'd expect to be there, the first 16. And there's players like me who will be there every season. I can't imagine me getting far off 150 points every time. So I think if you take away the guys who even come to 2 tournaments, and take away the guys who are never getting very high in the brackets, I think you might have a sort of a middle section where there's an argument for it. But I think the cream will still rise, and like you say, it's done in a way to encourage people to come back, because we need the numbers. We need the numbers to make tournaments.
Yeah. And we all appreciate that. Most of us are trying to come to every event, but you think when there's only 4 events, it's hard to know if you can make every event. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And we appreciate the fact that, yes, we want as many of these players there every week or every tournament and all that. And I think for the most part, regardless of the point system, we're all going to travel. We're all going to come see. We're all going to come play because all of us want to play. But when you talk about, for example, what separated me from third and fourth place was 1 match.
Yeah.
And the difference in points was 455.
Yeah.
But then the point separating me from you at dead last, or someone that didn't even win it, because at the end of the day, you got this, that 150 points for dead last went to someone that probably didn't win a match all day, not even in rounders.
I beat Charlotte Coates. I felt horrendous for it, but the highest PPR, the shortest game, and the worst I've ever felt in my life, because I'm not good enough to play worse. I'm not good enough to say, I'll just make it a game. I'm not that good. So I had to try to throw my bags, and they all went in the hole, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
But you have nothing to apologize for, because at the end of the day, man, there's 14-year-old kids in the United States right now smashing people.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh yeah, they'd come over here and wipe the floor with all of us. No
You're
problem.
either there or you're not. So
to recap on the points. At the end of this season, we'll, rightly or wrongly, we'll stick with what we've done this season. At the end of it, we will hope to have more tournaments next year. We will maybe adjust the points system. We'll look at it. If we look at it at the end of the season, and there's a couple of really good guys who've missed out because of what you're saying, they only made 2 events, but they performed really well, we'll take a look. It used to be a rolling average, so it wasn't so important on one season. And the reason we stopped that is, and I think you did touch upon this in the last podcast, that his guys there on legacy rather than a great performance. There's a load of new faces. It's a bigger field. So we've just decided we're just going to reset this season. We might next year say, let's make it rolling. We might weight it so there's more points top end, because I guarantee the people at the bottom end are not bothered if they get a few less points, because realistically they're there for the day and to enjoy the game, and they're not there to compete in a place for the top 16. So we will take it into advisement. We just went with what we had this year. We probably didn't even think about it. So that's kind of it. Next year we're hoping to have more events. We've sort of stayed clear of offering our ranking points in non-UKCL events. There's obviously ACO, ACL, both having tournaments, and we decided just to stay neutral. We want to support those events. We want the whole of the UK player to go to those events to make them brilliant and to grow the sport. But we don't want to kind of align too much with anybody. We'd rather be friends with everyone.
I'm glad, because last year I chose to go to the Netherlands the same weekend the ACO event was held, so I lost out on a lot of points.
Yeah.
That people got towards the UKCL standings. So, and while I try to make it this year for the ACO event, I do appreciate that you guys have decided, hey, the UKCL is a standalone. It's on its own, because you do, and you're right, because you got some players that aren't going to go play in those events because in their minds, why would I go play in that event just to get killed by someone else?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But like I said, the big thing we had discussed and why, we started talking points is because, there's 455 that separates me from third and fourth place, but only 545 that separates me from dead last.
Yeah, sure.
And it's you start.
Yeah, I guess the guys who got 400 points compared to yourself on 695, that's a small gap. Whereas, if I turn up and come last every time, I've still only got 4 events and got 600 points. I'm still below you. But I take that with the kind of jump up. And we'll review it. We'll absolutely review it. And if there's people missed out unfairly, but people turn up, win an event, turn up as often as you can, and we'll do our best to put more events on. We want there to be more events. It's been quite tough with venues, finding places that are affordable, big enough that we can. It's quite a long day. We've been to some brilliant venues, but then they're like, oh, it's $3,000 for the day, and people can do maths. You see how many people come and what we pay.
And that, we struggle with that here in Barrie as well. I mean, we have trying to find a place even for practice.
Yeah,
we literally have leisure centers telling us that they would rather not have anybody in the building than to even discount it for us £5-10 an hour.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, we want £30-40 an hour. Cool. Would you do it for 20? No, but nobody's in here. Yeah, we would just rather not have anybody than make any money. It's a weird thing in this country with leisure centers. Yeah. They just don't.
I think you keep up setting them because you're not calling them leisure centres. They're not a leisure centre, Josh. You call them.
We call them gym. We call them gyms where I'm from. So I was just trying to be polite and call it.
We're really fortunate to have a couple of members that work for Everyone Active who've been fantastically supportive, helped us out with some kit. They now, Everyone Actives are all around the country, and we're trying to encourage them to have it on their app as an option to go to your local leisure centre and book a court for an hour and have the kit there so it can get to more people in the community. And that's still quite a little way off, but that's what we're sort of hoping for.
That's awesome. There's no doubt in my mind, y'all are you got big plans for it, and this is a good segue again into how you see the future of the UKCL growing out.
Sure, and actually, interesting enough, with Nick Ali, myself, the three of us involved, we have some quite healthy disagreement with how to grow. They're obviously, and I mean, certainly pushing for the higher spots in the actual ranking. I'm more focused on the events. But I want to grow it more by throwing money at the new clubs and supporting, somebody in an area wants some set of boards. We want to have some spare old boards that we can just give them to get clubs set up. And I think if we can get into that and schools and universities, we grow the sport from the base. And, the good guys will always be the good guys and more of those will be found. I know we want to have prize money. We want to have prizes. We want to have more of that, but we've just got to be a bit realistic with the money we've got to play with in the early days. And we disagree with that sometimes. They're like, let's get pro shirts. And I'm like, let's get some more boards and give them away. And that's probably because I'm never going to be a pro. So I'm like, I'm not getting a free shirt.
You know what? I'll side with you on this. I think getting equipment out to people that are lacking with equipment is a far better thing than getting out some pro shirts. Because right now, I had a pro shirt from last year, and I understand that I'm considered a pro or whatever, but I've looked at it very much so. It's not to take anything away from it, but when you're only probably turning out 40 to 45 people per event, it doesn't have quite the clout it does if there's thousands of people, right? It's not to take anything away from it, but I think right now at 3 years in, we could focus less on being pros and more on growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do tell people I'm in the top 100 cornhole players in the UK. There's only 60 odd in this standing, so but they don't have to know that fact. They can just take.
When I tell people I'm number 5 in the UK, I don't tell them that there's only 60.
Hey, after the very first one, I was telling people I'm top 4.
The other thing that I know you've talked about on the podcast, and I've spoken about with you, Josh, at the tournament, is the format for the tournaments. So we are changing it from round robins this time to Swiss Olio. So the round robins effectively are slightly ranked. So you're not getting an easy ride into the sort of the top bracket seedings, and likewise you don't end up with some really good players missing out because they've had some really hard games. Now, I suppose the argument against that is the times. It was a long old day, Q1. And I think I've looked at the average times. I think 29% of the games took longer than the 15 minutes that the system kind of estimates when doing the timings. And the difference between Swiss and round robin adds about 50 minutes to the day. So I suppose if you just want some of my rationale sometimes for doing things, the least popular opinion, timings did come into it. So we might be looking to start earlier going forward if the numbers grow.
I think part of that though too is people coming in and doing 3 or 4 down and backs.
Yeah.
Like I get it. You sit around for 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and you do want kind of a little bit of a warm up. And that was something we lacked, because we've been used to having a warm up board or two, and we didn't.
Yes.
And that was fine, but it was like, I think as a whole group, all of us having to police this because you can't walk around policing everybody.
Yeah.
But we all as a whole group got to be more vigilant and not do 3, 4, 5 down and backs, because that's just that's 5 rounds of throwing bags.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we could then move on to someone else.
I think because the system gives you the break average, so the average game length, including the break, so including the time between games, was 16 minutes. So obviously some really short ones with people beating up on kids. Interestingly, the longest game, including the break, any guesses? It was Josh and John, and that was largely because you put the wrong scores in, and then I had to spend about 20 minutes fanning around to complete the game.
You know what? I did figure out what I did. The only thing I can think of is when you go, so when it wanted to submit,
yeah,
I think I accidentally hit swap,
right?
And then hit submit.
Okay.
So I didn't score it wrong the whole match. I think at the very end, when it came up, I went to hit submit and accidentally hit swap, didn't realize it, and then hit submit again.
I mean, every tournament's a learning thing for me, so it's how to fix this live and not flap under the table. But yeah, no,
that was on me. I'll take
that. Overall, yeah, having people not warm up for ages, and the Swiss does help with that because as round one comes to an end, it doesn't populate all the other boards until the last match has happened. But that will give practice court. So people want to throw obsessively all day, then they can go do that whilst the round's ending. And, we are going to probably get one more court in or try and squeeze it in. I know there was comments that we had plenty of space and we could have nudged them up. But if you got me and Graham playing next to each other on court, so imagine there's not going to be loads of space.
Yeah, that's probably an accurate statement.
No, but it's learning.
No, and honestly, Ben, I mean, you guys are doing a great job. I'm not taking anything away from that.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, I think we've probably, myself and Graham, myself and Matt, like a bunch of us, we've probably talked about the scoring system for all 3 years. So it's not like this was something new and all of a sudden we're like, oh, Ben and them are messing everything up because of the scoring system now. We've been talking about the scoring system for a while and how that plays out. Because, again, like in the ACL, for example, you depending on the tier of event, you can only max out at so many points. That way you can't just keep going to tier, 3 events and keep winning every one and build up to get tier 1 style points. Now, obviously, we're not big enough to have it tiered out like that. But I think, like, it's one of those, it was always going to be a tough one with only having 4 or 5 events.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think
as you try to grow it and we try to have more events, I think then that scoring model comes into focus a little better and then starts making more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the dream is to have regional tournaments and a tournament every weekend and people can go wherever, it's just building that up. The isn't quite big enough for it yet. Would be asking people to travel too often, too far. I have learned Americans just don't mind driving for hours every weekend. Whereas if I try and put my wife in the car, I'm like, if I try and put my family in the car for more than a couple of hours, they start getting grumpy. So yeah, we're trying to visit some new places. We're looking at venues in Newcastle. We're happy to be returning to Bury. We're looking at venues in Manchester. We're doing it everywhere. So if anyone's got some really good feedback about a decent venue space that's reasonable, please do share it with us. We'll eagerly pick up a discussion. And the place we've got for the UK final, we're quite excited about. It's quite a decent event and a bit unusual. So,
are we keeping a lid on it, or we want to talk about it?
I think so for now. I don't want to give away any spoilers. I can't remember what Alistair gave me permission to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny. He wouldn't come on the show, but he gave you hey, talk about this.
They've both had the snip in the last 7 days, so they're both a bit sore at the moment and grumpier than usual.
Oh, whatever, man. I had that.
Yeah, they've made a lot of moaning about it. To be honest, I did it on my lunch hour.
I call it the old.
Nowhere near me with a knife down there. No chance.
And they'll be glad I've just shared that with the whole of the cornhole community in the UK as well. Cheers, guys.
Let's hope this is our most popular episode yet. Then the more people
Can we edit it? Can we edit it?
I thought I was bad with back spasms. The Pettit boys just lost their manhood.
No, it's no. Thanks for having me on. It's been enjoyable.
Yeah. So
while we got you here, let's get your input on some predictions for the weekend.
Predictions for the weekend.
And predictions. I want to know your predictions for the weekend and overall your early predictions for the rest of the season.
I mean, I think you're still going to have a similar bunch of familiar faces come the final because I think consistency is the key. And we've seen some new members have some great performances. I think Ben Shaw is going to be there at the end of the season. I think Charlie Lomax. Let's
start with just qualifier 2. Who you got for qualifier 2?
I mean, Dan Lilly's obviously Dan has come in, so he's always going to be up there. I actually can't remember if Liam's checked in on this one. I did look at the list before I come, but I assume Liam's there.
He has. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to look much further than those two. They just, if you look at the PPRs, the consistency. I don't know how much Dan's been playing this year. I think he's coming to our club night tomorrow night for see what he's up against. And I know Charlie's not been very well, so I'm not sure. He's kind of on the fence at the moment with the weekend, and he's one of our most consistent baggers. I know John had a bit of a mare at the last one, John Wishart. Like I say, Ben Shaw's been very consistent. Mark Pallett's sort of catching him up. So interesting from a bagger's point of view. Selfishly, there's some exciting talents there. John Stein's very consistent. I get the impression he's going to have been practicing less now. He's got his food podcast YouTube channel going out there, so maybe everyone stands a bit more of a chance.
I mean, I look at John Steins and I think, what can this dude not do, man?
Yeah,
do everything, can't he?
You see his food, and I'm just like, yeah, I'd eat that. I'm trying that.
Pick trousers is what he can't do. I've seen some new trousers he's got.
Calm down, man. Them trousers are badass.
No, he's a good player. Again, I think you said it at the end of Q1. The experience got him through that match with Ben Shaw. Just calm head, deep into a game when every point matters, and going for the shots you need to go for rather than playing it safe and hitting them. So, I think you actually see people's PPR increase through the day, which is incredible.
Yeah. So you're picking on the spot right now. Who wins?
Liam.
Who's he in the finals against?
I'm going to go Ben Shaw.
All right. Guys, you guys heard it here. Ben Gregory's going with a Liam and Ben Shaw final.
And I'm just trying not to lose to everybody. And that's so Ben is going to be ending with, I might increase it like the last place to 500 points and give myself 500 points.
All right. So way too early to predict who wins the whole season, who wins top of the board for season, and then also wins the national championship.
I struggle to see past Liam because he's already very good and he puts in the hours. You know, you ever see him on his socials practicing on the green. I don't know whether that's slowed down since the Worlds, but he puts in the hours. Very focused guys. Obviously got a background in sports, so I think I struggle to see past him.
All right.
Which is really boring is the answer, but I just think it's just you look.
It's
at
a
stats,
sensible answer, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely a solid answer for sure.
We've seen it, and again, we play tournaments every week at Ashby Baggers, and we're fortunate to have a really good community. But you can see changes in the, the top few in this week's tournament were completely different from the top few in the last tournament. And there's some, Dale's been playing really, really well. He had some cracking games this week. Mark Pallett again, another one. Ali's he won the tournament. He's playing really well when he's got the headspace to focus on it. He's got a game in him. And obviously yourself, Josh, you try not to go all the way through the bottom bracket this year. Try and just stick in that top bracket. I've done the Swiss Holio, so you've got every chance.
That's the plan. All right, Graham, who you got?
I'm going to Liam taking it down this weekend, and I'm going for Dan coming back, getting to the final, and doing what he always does. Sorry, Dan. Bridesmaid again.
All right. What about for the season?
Same. You can't look past Liam, but bar a new player, because potentially we don't know yet. The best player in the country still might have not discovered this sport because it's still that new. But for those that know, Liam, you can't look past him.
Just to add, there's two guys, John and Ricky Noble, there's a couple of guys who came along. First time they even realised there was any kind of league, I think they started playing in lockdown, made some boards and just played on parks in London. So they've played probably more cornhole than most of us, but without measuring out boards properly or whatever. So they were both pretty gifted for guys who've never been to a tournament. And I imagine if they get a tape measure when they're back home and play a consistent length and keep coming, they'd be ones to look out for the future.
Oh, you then, Josh. Who's your pick?
I'm going to be cheeky and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to take for Q2. I'm taking Liam for sure. But I'm not going to put. I'm going to put John Steins back in the finals.
Yeah.
I'm going to put John Steins back in the finals for that. For the season, I think Liam will take the table. I think he'll be top of the table for the whole season. But I'm gonna cheat. I'm be cheeky. I know this it's not fair, but I'm gonna take the rest of the field on the national championship.
You know something we do? Is there somebody planning on coming over for one?
I don't. See,
is Richard coming back over from Germany?
I doubt it because he made ACL Pro, so I doubt it. My thing is, I just think because we saw it last year, like Liam had been the most solid player probably all season, really. I mean, he'd been just so solid. And then come national championships, he was like kind of way off his game. I don't know if it was because he was leaving like the next day to go to the Worlds. He had other things on his mind. I don't know. But as it sits right now, man, I'm just taking the rest of the field because I think once you get into that top 16 at the end of the year, and we're playing in what? It's going to be what, in June, I think?
Yes, that was a question for me. Yeah, it's June. I think so.
Anything can happen because now you don't have to worry about there is no easy path. No matter what side of the bracket you're on, there's no easy path anymore. And it's not to say he needs an easy path. He's played lights out. But you don't get Ben Gregory first match. You don't get Charlotte first match.
Yeah.
You get, one of us or, someone like a Mark Pallet or one of them guys that are coming out of Ashby that are right there on the cusp every time and could just have a breakout game. So you don't get that whole, you don't get to just say, all right, first match or two, I get to get my bearings. That national championship is straight in.
Got to be on it from the get-go.
Yeah. So, and that may change. I may have to reevaluate that after Q2 this weekend and be like, all right, no, I got to pick this person. Or if Liam comes in and dominates like he did last time, I may go, nope, I change, man. I'll take Liam on the national championship and not the rest of the field. But as it sits right now, man, I'm going to take the rest of the field.
And bring Sunday again. I mean, I know many people are more sensible than I, but it won't stop me having a couple of drinks on Saturday night, and that might. I've played some of my best golf when I'm really hungover because I just don't care. And there's something about relaxing, just getting into a groove and throwing a bag. If you're too thinking about it,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little nervous about Sunday myself. Coming up, playing in the blind draw on Saturday, going out with you guys to celebrate your birthday Saturday night. Sunday might be pretty rough for Josh.
Just don't fall out of bed and break your thumb like you did the first season.
I know, right?
Hey, worked out for me.
All right, Ben. Before we let you go, though, I do want to say this. Being that it's Remembrance Day, hey, thank your son for us for carrying that torch now. I served 20 years in the Air Force, so I really appreciate that now he's picked up that torch and he's carrying it on for the next generation.
It's very kind of you to say thank you.
And you and your wife should be very proud of him.
Thank you, we are. Thank you.
Very proud of
you. Yeah. Right. Thanks, Ben.
Cheers. Right, so I'll leave you to finish off. Lovely to thanks for having me on and look forward to seeing you the weekend.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right.
Last order of business. We've got our individual power rankings then for the season. Although I think we pretty much know what the top player is going to be so far from us both.
Yeah. So for me, my power rankings are pretty much what the standings are right now. I would say.
Same.
I said for myself, probably myself, Tony, JC, Charlie. Any of those right now could probably be interchangeable. I think we could probably beat each other one game. and then lose the next to each other. So that's a tough one. Whereas right now, I think it's going to be tough for anybody to beat Liam. I think by far, without doubt, he's top of the power rankings.
Yeah.
He has more. He has just a little more in his old tool bag than the rest of us,
Yeah.
But again, John Steins ain't too far off.
No.
And again, it's not that he has all these crazy shots to pick from. It's the fact that he doesn't make many mistakes.
No.
And that to me puts him way up there. I put Bennett third in the power rankings just because of his performance for one. We can see if that's that was kind of that. I don't want to say beginners because, I mean, he did play last season, but he didn't play real well, and he didn't play in a lot of events. So we'll see if Q2, if he has a little bit of a sophomore slump, to see if, or if he can keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And of course, Jared Noosh coming back from not playing pretty much all last season. He had a standout weekend, but again, it'll kind of matter if he can keep the momentum going.
Well, I know he won the most recent club night they had there, so he's keeping in form.
Yeah. To really throw a wrench in the thing, I know Danny didn't play in Q1, but he's going to play in Q2, and you can't take anything away from him. We know he is capable of making the finals every daggum time.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, in this edition of the power rankings, you could really probably put him anywhere from 2 down.
Yeah.
And not even seen him play yet this season, and we could probably do that. So I have a feeling the power rankings for next Monday when we come back for episode 4, I think the power rankings may be a lot different.
I think top 3, 4 be the same, but I think there'll be some movement the next 6 down.
Okay.
I've not put Danny in mind purely just because he's not played yet this season, so don't know what he's got this season, and we know obviously what he has done in the past, so how good he can be. So I've got Liam, then John, Steins, then Ben, Jared, yourself, JC, Charlie, Tony, Craig, and then Jeff Vaughan rounding out my top 10.
See, I put Ollie at top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, Ollie played well.
Ollie's on me. Ollie's at 11.
So I bumped Ollie up into my top 10.
Yeah.
I did leave Craig in the top 10, even though he didn't have the greatest of showings in Q1.
Yeah.
I know he would have preferred to play a little better.
I mean, I'd have loved to put Ollie in my top 10. I mean, after all, he was me doubles partner in Germany. So,
sure.
But hey, he's capable of climbing well into there after this weekend. So,
for sure.
We'll revisit the power rankings next week.
We will.
See who moves.
All right. So what do you got? Barry Baggers has their training tomorrow night. Ashby Baggers has their training tomorrow night. Are you guys training in Manchester on Friday?
Not that I'm aware of. We did have one this Friday just gone. Unfortunately, I missed it.
Oh, I got to give a shout out. Sorry, I do, because we're talking about training. So as we mentioned last episode, we did our first Richardson Cup at our club.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately for me, I could not carry any momentum into the finals, and Alex Bowers took down the cup, and he beat me in the finals.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to him. And unfortunately, he can't make it again this weekend, which is a bummer because he started playing with some other bags, and he's really got his block game going right now. So I would love to see him come in and play.
That's not what some the guys want to hear, because he's got a nasty block game.
Yeah, and hey man, and he's playing it well right now.
Yeah.
So But he's also worked on that block game, but he's also worked on that I'm going to push and get through it as well.
Yeah.
So if he needs to, he can put a bag in the hole as well. So it'll be interesting to see when he comes back. But yeah, unfortunately, he ain't gonna be able to make it this weekend. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but because we were talking about training, it just occurred to me.
Yeah. So like I said, there was training this week. Friday just gone in Manchester. Don't know about this Friday.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if we hear about anything, we'll put it on our socials so you can find your nearest club. Right.
Yeah.
Then get yourself down. Throw some bags.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. So for episode 3, I think it went all right.
Yeah. Yeah. First guest done. First deck around done.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
All right. I guess for now, man, I'm Josh.
Okay. I'm Graham.
And we're going to sign off. We'll see y'all this weekend.
Yeah. Just bought it. Peace.
Just bought it. Cheers, bud.
Bye.